Once again, too much show for you this afternoon. Starting out with Danielle Carter-Walters. She is a owner of a fitness gym who had a very similar to what we just heard from Candace Owens here, a political shift. And now she has got some ideas about helping reduce crime in Chicago. You can follow her at youagainstyoufitness.com. And then Libby Emmons comes in, editor-in-chief of the Post Millennial. We're going to talk, there's so many things to talk about with Libby, amongst other things. The Cracker Barrel fiasco, also Mamdani in New York. We'll talk about that. And then we're going to hear from Simona and George Papadopoulos, who we have not seen in a long time. And I want to get, amongst other things, their perspective on what we're learning from Tulsi Gabbard. And this is the very material evidence of what they had been ensnared in back in 2017, 2018. So stay with us. Be right back.
Our laws, as it pertains to substances, are draconian and bizarre. The psychopaths start this way. He was an alcoholic because of social media and pornography, PTSD, love addiction, fentanyl and heroin. Ridiculous. I'm a doctor, for Christ's sake. Where the hell do you think I learned that? I'm just saying, you go to treatment before you kill people. I am a clinician. I observe things about these chemicals. Let's just deal with what's real. We used to get these calls on Loveline all the time. Educate adolescents and to prevent and to treat. If you have trouble you can't stop and you want help stop it, I can help. I got a lot to say. I got a lot more to say.
I've spent most of my career dealing with illnesses that shorten life, and now we have ways to extend it and extend wellness. I've been working with the team over at V-Shred to develop a product that has everything I want in a longevity supplement. NR Boost has nicotinamide riboside. You know how metal can rust? Well, your body behaves in a similar way. It's mediated through something called NAD. NAD falls as we age, so we're less able to fight off that oxidative process. We oxidize much like that metal. And NAD fights it, but nicotinamide riboside elevates NAD so we can push back on those oxidative stressors, improving health, improving longevity. The other product is Senosync, has fisetin, one of the key molecules to fight off zombie cells, and we've added resveratrol to that, which is a well-known anti-aging antioxidant again. I don't like supplements that have a ton of ingredients. To me, it suggests that none of it's working. When I prescribe a medication, I prescribe that medicine because I expect that to work. That is exactly what I've done with these products. And I want you to go to drdrew.com/vshredmd for 10% off. Again, that is drdrew.com/vshredmd. Okay, everybody, and as I keep saying, the Fatty 15 and the NR are things we all should be taking every day. We can finally do something about our longevity. And Susan, you have something you want to share with people about the products from V-Shred?
Yes, if you buy the package and get the NR product, the Senosync, and the sleep product, you will get a complimentary Dr. Drew bobblehead.
So Susan set up this little display for you all.
One of our followers was so excited. She didn't know it was coming. Caleb?
Okay. Hey, everybody, it's Lisa. So I love Dr. Drew, and I listen to him all the time. And I didn't know he had a new TV series. We turned on this Hollywood Demons, and look, it's Dr. Drew. And out of the blue, literally, while we're watching this today for the first time, a Dr. Drew bobblehead showed up in the mail, and I didn't even know it was coming. So how cool is that? He sent it out with my new supplements of his. Thanks, Dr. Drew.
You don't need to thank me. Just you're taking care of yourself. So thank you for taking care of yourself. That's the whole idea here.
Cute.
Yeah,
she's
cute.
a florist.
Oh, how fun!
So cute.
Well, do we have her name? For a second, we can thank her.
Yeah, I have it. Hold
okay,
on.
so you can blur it out as soon as we get it.
Oops, sorry.
Whoops. In the meantime, let me tell you some particulars about our upcoming guest here. It's Danielle Carter-Walters. She is youagainstyoufitness.com. That is also on Facebook, same You Against You Fitness. And _ You Against You Fitness on Instagram. She has an interesting story to tell, and she was mentioned recently in the White House. I think it was during the big cabinet meeting. And I'm wondering, Caleb, if you can show us that video of where she must have said something online or something. Show us the video if you don't mind.
And we'll make it safe also. We're going to make our country very safe. We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent, and we'll straighten that one out probably next. That'll be our next one after this. and it won't even be tough. And the people in Chicago, Mr. Vice President, are screaming for us to come. They're wearing red hats, just like this one, but they're wearing red hats. African-American ladies, beautiful ladies, are saying, please, President Trump, come to Chicago. Please.
Well, let us talk to someone who had some ideas about, who lives in Chicago, runs a fitness program, a business there, and has some ideas. Danielle, thank you for joining us. There you are.
Thank you for having me.
Are you whom he was just talking about?
Yes, we have a group here called Chicago Flips Red, and our founder is Zoe Lee, and I'm the vice president. So yes, he was definitely talking about us because we have been advocating to help. Well, this was before Trump even got in office. We had been advocating to get him elected because we knew the only chance we had in Chicago, if we wanted to have a chance, was to get President Trump elected.
Now, I'm fascinated by people that have a sort of a catharsis or a change politically. I've always been super moderate, and I don't think I've changed very much. I mean, we all change a little bit over time. I've sort of refined some positions. Like I all of a sudden find myself being a freedom fighter, I was always kind of libertarian, but I didn't understand quite what the government could do to us until they locked us down during COVID. And that sort of woke me up and clarified. And then they started trying to restrict our speech. I'm like, oh, no. So that just clarified a position for me. I wonder what your transformation was like. What happened?
That was it, Dr. Drew. So my husband was a police officer during that time. And they tried to make him get the vaccine shot because they were saying if he didn't get it, he was going to lose his job, lose his benefits. And so it was just like, okay, hold on. Is this the party who tells us my body, my choice? Didn't they tell us that? And so you're going to try to mandate us to get something that we don't want to get. And so they told him that he was going to lose his pension and things. So he got it. But I never did. And so after that made me just go into looking at policies, look at the Constitution, do a deep dive. And Dr. Drew, when I looked at that and researched for myself, it was no way possible I could be a Democrat. My values, my belief, I don't align with anything they believe.
Yeah. It's weird. It actually, things are weird right now. I think the Democrat Party, I used to be much more closely aligned. I would have called myself, I was a Democrat for a while, and I sort of was a liberal moderate, but that all moved so far to one direction. It's gotten very, very strange. While I'm thinking of it, have you had any contact with Gianno Caldwell?
No.
The Caldwell,
we did
I got to put you guys.
A Fox show. We did a show in that, So that was the
he's going to have
contact.
I just think you guys would be very closely aligned. He again is far more conservative than I am, but his brother was killed in Chicago, and it mobilized him, and he set up the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety, and they have an event coming up in Chicago on September 24th from 5 to 8 Central Time. I got to get you guys hooked up because it seems to me that you should be at this event, or somebody from your organization. He has at the event speaking Gary McCarthy, former police superintendent. Do you know Gary McCarthy?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I figured you would. All right. I'll make sure that Emily sends you this contact information and stuff. But all right. So you had this shift, and what did you do then? Did you sort of think, I'm going to lose my friend? See, one of the common things that happens in any kind of brainwashing situation, whether it's flat Earth thinking or vaccine, absolutism or vaccine denialism, or various sorts of communities around certain ideas or conspiracies, for instance, when you awake to some facts, the first thought that people typically have is, I'm going to be alone. I'm going to lose my friends. I'm going to lose my community. Did you have those kinds of thoughts?
Yes, well, when that happened with me, I encourage everyone to do their own research. When you do your own research, you will understand how the media, the fake news lied to us. And so when I did that, it was just like, okay. And then what happened was, because see, we're in Chicago, which is a Democratic stronghold. It's a machine. And what really, really did it for me, because I'm a Christian. And so when they were pushing LGBTQ and transgender, so they have in our public library, they have drag queen story hour and drag queen affirming stations, trans affirming stations from ages 0 through 5. So that was like, okay, you know what? They going too far. And then they tried to, it was when they put 70,000 illegal aliens into our community. And they took away our field houses. They took away all our resources in schools. So, we don't have a lot of things in our community already. But the little resources we had, the Democratic Party took it from us. They piled them into police stations. And my husband at the time, when he was working there, they were allowed to smoke weed. They were allowed to drink. They were allowed to prostitute right in front of the police stations. They wasn't getting locked up. Wow. And so when I saw this, how they were allowed to operate and do things and commit crimes that they were not, even the police had to stand down and they couldn't lock them up. Yeah. So when I saw this, it was just like, no. And then they tried to put their first tent city in Brighton Park. Now this tent city was poisonous ground. We knew that. And they were trying to put them on there. And it was what they're calling, with President Trump's detention centers. No, the Democratic Party are the real Nazis, because they tried to put them in a tent, and it was on poisonous ground. And the tents looked like cots. It had cots, and already in the shelters that they put them in, housed them in, it was mold, it was filth, measles and tuberculosis had broke out. And my husband at the time, bed bugs, and that was a threat to our homes. And so it was a kid that died in one of those illegal alien shelters. But when we voiced concern about that, they told us, because we didn't want them to, we didn't know who they were. They were unvetted, and they were putting them in our children's school. And we were saying that we had to you all forced us to get this COVID shot. But the illegal aliens and the kids, they came over here unvaccinated, and they were allowed to enroll into our schools and not be vaccinated or anything. So we didn't know what we were bringing into our schools. And they told us.
So Danielle, so what I'm hearing is you're very sensitive to hypocritical inconsistencies, which is a legitimate position. Now, you could have your churches were closed, but the liquor stores were open. I assume you guys had stuff like that going on, because we sure did in California. Exactly. You were mandated to take a vaccine unless you were here an undocumented immigrant, then no problem. And so all these really, Carol, my partner on Adam and Drew podcast, was talking the other day about how he couldn't saw a piece of treated wood in Malibu because they're concerned about the chemicals in the treated part of the wood. Now we have 20,000 homes all built of treated wood, melted, and all of that chemical spilled into the ocean. The policies are so insane. How do you, I don't know how we support them. They're so unpragmatic, unrealistic. They're not connected to reality.
They're not, you can't. Right now, the Democratic Party is anti-American. Everything that's good for Americans, they're against. So we know that right now, the Democratic Party are the party for illegal aliens and transgender rights. That's just what it is. You see what's happening in Chicago. Now, Chicago, the crime rate is out of control. We have killings. We have had 4 mass shootings in a span of 1 month, right? And in one of those mass shootings, it was senior citizens that got shot. Our kids can't even go outside and play. And even sitting in the house, a stray bullet comes in the house. We're getting carjacked. We're getting robbed. We can't sit in our car. And God forbid that you drive down the street slow because you can't find an address and you're just looking for an address, then they're going to shoot you up. You cannot stay at a red light.
This begs the question of, are you asking or are you in favor of President Trump sending the National Guard in? And I'll let you answer that, but then I want to address sort of how it's possible, if it's possible. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we're in favor. We the ones who were making videos, going to City Hall. We were calling on President Trump to come in and help us. So we're definitely for it. What do the Democratic Party solutions is? You heard what Brendan Johnson said on Joe Scarborough. He said affordable housing. Now, to stop crime, he said affordable housing. What idiot would say something like that? So we have, like I said, you can't even stop at a red light without worrying about a car pulling on the side of you and they're jumping out. Now, they're not jumping out with just one person. It's 3 people jumping out of a car with guns to your head, so you can't do nothing. So they're going to either rob you or they're going to kill you as well, because we saw just a gentleman on, I don't know if you saw it, Dr. Drew, but it was a gentleman about a week and a half ago on Facebook Live. And they came and they robbed him and murdered him right there on Facebook Live. And these are the things that we have to deal with in our communities. We have so many killings that even at the funeral, you can't even mourn at the funeral because they're shooting up the funerals in Chicago.
What is sort of the root cause, do you think? I mean, look, if you look at who's doing the shooting and the killing, it's not women and it's not older men, right? It's young men.
It's young men.
Gone wrong? Is this gang related? Is this something really wrong in the homes? What's going on in the education system? What do you think the problem is?
All of them. The home, definitely the education system, the CTU need to be investigated. Our educational system here at CTU, they need to be investigated. So yeah, it's the school, and then we have the soft on crime policies. So because these kids, and these kids are young, they're 11, 12, 10-year-old. So they know that they're going to be let right back out, because Pritzker, what did he implement? The Safety Act and the no cash bail. So they go in and commit a crime and they're let right back out. So to victimize the same people. So people are scared to talk and they're scared to say something in fear of retaliation. Now let's talk about and it is the rap music as well, because we have the rap music. As you know, Chicago, we have, a lot of rappers that come from here, O Block, Chief Keef, Lil Durk, so it has it's just our culture. And we're just going to be honest. The Democrats want to say it's racist. No, we're the ones, it's the black faces that's doing the crime in our communities, in the city. So is there a way, I get where you're going with the kids that are already out of hand, but is there a way to prevent the next group from coming up and getting involved in all this? Do you see a solution to that? Yes, I think that we need that's why Chicago Flips Red. That's why we started. And the founder, Zoe, because she really cares about the kids. For her, it's about the kids. So what they did was we have no mental health institution. Ron Emanuel eradicated them. So as you were saying, Dr. Drew, during COVID, the kids, that messed them up. They were not able to go to school.
Yes.
They were locked down.
That's right.
No one asked
right.
them how did they feel about this. No one gave them treatment after this. So now in school, I have trained teachers, and I have teachers saying the kids, first of all, they took the police out of the schools. So they're lawlessness. They're on their phones all day. And if the teacher says something, they cuss the teacher out, or the teachers can't do nothing because the Democratic Party policies, they're devastating to any city. Like you said, California. Look at any city or state that the Democratic Party run, and you're going to see chaos. You're going to see high crime. You're going to see high taxes. You're going to see incompetent leaders, and that's just what it is. And they blame it on white.
Are you contemplating? We have an extra long break today, so it seems like I'm in a delay today, so I have to kind of jump in on a little bit. But are you contemplating running for office?
Yes.
Where?
You know what? Yes, and you know why, Dr. Drew? I didn't choose.
Somebody's got to do it, and you seem like you have a clear vision and some ideas. Why not you?
We've been down there in a city council meeting for years, and we've been every meeting. So we see how they're laundering our money. We see where they're funneling their money at with these NGOs, these shelters. We know these churches. Let's talk about the churches. And we know that what it's going to take, because these policies, we have to get in there and dismantle this whole Democratic machine and put people in there, not career politicians, people who care and love the citizens and want to see the Chicago great again. Because I've been here, I've been born and raised here all my life. I know what it was back in the 80s. You know, I saw the businesses that were here. I saw what it can be, the crime, and I know what it is now. And I didn't choose this, but God gave me this mission and this mandate, and all I did was say yes to him. And I didn't know it was going to be this, Dr. Drew, because I was training. I thought I was going to be a trainer and training people to be healthy and things. But he said, no, this is my plight, and this is what I have to do. So in order to make that real change, we can't keep electing these same people, these same politicians. You have to get people who really care and who's not compromised, who's not willing to sell their soul for money, and who really care about the people in the city.
Well, I certainly am inspired by your words, and I just sort of feel like you that we can't keep going on this way. I love that you're looking at root causes and you're in a position to sort of talk about them and bring them out and see if we can solve them. Now, I'm hearing you talk about tough on crime, tough on no bail, and that kind of stuff. But I worry, you said you've asked for the National Guard to come to Chicago. I don't understand in the Constitution how a president is granted that privilege. I know he can do that essentially anywhere when there's an emergency, but I'm very worried about the whole notion of emergency. Emergency is how we got vaccine mandates. Emergency is how we got lockdowns. Emergency is how we got the Patriot Act. Now, you may like it when President Trump sends troops to Chicago to settle things down there as an emergency event, but you never know who the next perpetrator, who's going to be in control of the government next and call an emergency that, that gets ridiculous. So how do we do this?
Well, you look at D.C., Dr. Drew. Look what happened in D.C. just in this little amount of time. And you see, did nobody get hurt? Wait a minute, Dr. Drew. First of all, let's talk about what Pritzker did during the DNC when they came here to Chicago. Didn't Pritzker implement the National Guards to protect the politicians that came to Chicago? And he did exactly that. He implemented
but
the
he can do it. He can do it. He's the one that can do it without any interference. But when a federal official, a federal executive does it, it's a whole different set of principles. And I would listen when I heard the politicians going, he's going to send it to your community, the National Guard. And I was thinking, please send them here to Los Angeles. Please, we need it. Send it to Chicago. Please. But in doing so, have we set some precedent that we don't turn back from? I'm as an independent and sort of libertarian, I worry about that.
No, well, he has to implement the Insurrection Act if they go against it. But Dr. Drew, you have to understand what's happening. The Biden and Harris administration opened the border to 22 million unvetted people. Now, we know that they were criminals, rapists. We know that they were murderers. And guess what, Dr. Drew? A lot of them are in the sanctuary cities because we are a sanctuary for criminals. So we have to, you got to understand, the American citizens, we are crying out. Drastic times calls for drastic measures. If the Biden and Harris did not, they opened that border and let 22 million. That never has happened in history. So President Trump has to do something to make our streets safer. And we see the Democratic Party, they don't care about the citizens. And like I keep going back to, look at D.C. We have people hitting us up, Dr. Drew, saying, we know people in D.C. saying they never felt so good to be able to walk outside and not have to worry about being shot and murdered today. Yep. Carjacked. Yep. They feel so good. I see it. Yeah, and so we deserve that, Dr. Drew, as American citizens, as taxpayers, as Chicagoans. We deserve to have safe cities to be able to just live. I don't want to go outside and get murdered.
I don't want you to get hurt, but I do want you to keep talking.
That's a possibility,
and so I understand Chicago is it's not for the faint of heart. It's really dangerous in parts of that town. I'm like you. I've been visiting Chicago for many years. My dad is from Chicago. I've seen what has happened recently, and it's not been a pleasant thing to watch. But I am inspired by you. I hope you'll keep talking, and I hope you'll keep your troops moving forward. Where do you want people to go to learn more? We can, of course, go to You Against You Fitness, which is your business. We want to support that. But where should we support your group?
Chicago, you can go to chicagoflipsred.com. And because that's what Dr. Drew, we have this election time. Midterms coming up now, and we have election. We're getting Pritzker up out of office. We're getting Brandon Johnson up out of office, Tony Burke. We're flipping Chicago red. Illinois is already red, but we are flipping Chicago. So this is going to be done. And we have our Father in heaven that's guiding the way, because this is a fight between good and evil. So they can go to chicagoflipsred.com, and if they want to, and email us at info@chicagoflipsred.com.
Well, Danielle, very interesting, and I just like your intent on making it better for the community, and getting the root cause, at that root cause, not letting another group of kids get destroyed, containing the ones that have been, so they don't destroy the community further. And I wish you the best, and I appreciate you spending some time here. We'll get you back when you start running for office. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Dr. Drew. I really love everything you're doing as well.
Thank you, Danielle. Appreciate it. All right, everybody. We put all the information up on the Restream as well. And Caleb, a couple questions for you. Good call on her running for office. She was way ahead of you on that. And I suspect she's ahead of all of us on most of these political issues. She is thinking about this.
She looks like she could bench a lot.
Well,
go to her gym website, Susan. She's a real trainer. She knows what she's doing.
I can just tell by her chest.
Maybe we should get with her on some of our fitness stuff, because it'd be really interesting.
Send her a bobblehead and some V-Shred products.
Please. And Libby, you said, is logged in. Should we talk to Libby a few minutes before I go to break?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, all right, let's talk to Libby. Libby, let me give you the intro before we go to her, if you guys don't mind. Libby Emmons is, let me get you her particulars. You can follow her, Libby Emmons, EMMONS. And of course, she is the editor-in-chief of the Post Millennial. And she is as well the editor-in-chief of the Post Millennial and Human Events in New York City, overseeing cultural and political issues. Libby, thank you for joining us. I know you've got a tight squeeze on the clock. I am bewildered by the Mamdani experience. Tell me what that looks like from your perspective.
Yeah, well, it shouldn't be that bewildering because what's actually going on is that the Democrat Party is completely falling apart and they're caving to their far left base, which is advocating for socialist principles all through New York City. And we also saw Bill de Blasio, who had been the mayor of New York City, saying that Mamdani's principles and policies should be spread out all across the country by Democrats.
Oh, he is saying that this is the way to go. Are you one of these folks who thinks that you should just let that happen, so when it fails, it speaks for itself?
No, I think letting socialism happen is a terrible idea because once you enact socialist principles and policies and plans, it's really hard to undo them. It's really hard to get those out of the fabric of society. So we should do everything we can politically to not let that happen. And I would love to see pretty much anybody else, including perhaps my pet rabbit, become mayor instead of Zoran Mamdani.
Well, is your rabbit handy? Can we see the candidate, or do we have the name of the candidate?
Well, doing nothing would be better than doing something in this situation. Eric Adams is pretty much doing nothing, and that would be a much better option than bringing Mamdani in.
Yeah, it's just the oddest thing. I don't understand why people, they just don't read history, I guess. And there's all this criticism of capitalism, but it's not being done. It's not being properly managed. It's not being done in a way that people can thrive within it. It's so regulated and so more. Anyway, we go all day about that. But this woman in Scotland that is creating a lot of energy, I think her name is Shiloh Hendricks. Maybe you could play that tape as just a background for people, not just the B-roll behind us.
No,
so we don't. Can you do that, Caleb?
Shiloh's different than. Are you talking about the girl that was assaulted a few days ago with the viral video holding the axe and the machete?
Yes.
Yeah,
show me the
different.
axe and machete. Her name is Sheila. I'm confusing my. We'll talk about Shiloh in a second, But this crocodile, we call her Crocodile Dundee here in our house. She's from Dundee, Scotland, apparently. I think
that's her last name, Dundee.
Oh,
right?
She's from Dundee.
No. She's from Dundee. She's from Dundee.
She's from Dundee.
Yeah. So we're just, anyway, the point is that she made a huge viral. Yeah. So I wisely, before describing her as the next William Wallace and my hero, I thought, for all I know, she's a psychotic girl with a weapon. I just don't know what's going on there. We have no idea. It's just a video out of context. Did you have any idea what happened there, or should we be supporting her, or is this just a fool's errand?
Well, I think it's going to be very difficult to find out enough about this girl to either support her or condemn her, or the man who was shooting the video, who obviously did have an accent and has been referred to as a migrant.
And he might have been the victim. He might have been the victim in all this. Let's be fair. I mean, just because he had an accent doesn't mean he couldn't have been attacked by this young girl.
Right. You did have the girl screaming at him to get away from her sister because she's only effing 12 years old. But I think we're never going to really get to the bottom of this. And a big part of the concern about that is that the police in the UK, the police in Scotland, are really not interested in getting to the bottom of things like this. We saw that with the scandals in England, right? The scandals about these rape gangs, these grooming gangs for these young girls that were essentially, I think they were Pakistani men who were implicated in this. And the media also in the UK is not interested in getting to the bottom of this. You know, this is a country where people are punished for being nationalist and punished for saying, you know, Scotland for the Scottish or whatever it is that they say. That's also happening in Ireland and in England. So that's a concern, I think, for that country. J.D. Vance has spoken out against that, against the free speech restrictions, people getting in trouble for raising their own flag, the flag of St. George or the Union Jack. And that's a pretty disturbing scenario, especially for an American, where you wander around American streets and half the houses have American flags up, which I think is a great thing. Imagine being in a country where putting up your nation's own flag is considered some sort of, white supremacist rebellious act. That's madness.
Yeah. They were flying the Saltire, but show us a picture, Caleb, of the Saltire flag in Scotland. Last time I was there, they were very proud of everything. But how do you feel about the executive order about flag burning? I was very against it at first. I spoke to somebody yesterday. I thought, if you really characterize it as hate speech, and if 75% of the country feels it is hate speech, maybe my minority position is too libertarian. Tell me what you think. There's the Saltire.
Yeah, well, I probably agree with your first position before you talk to whoever talked you out of it. I think that in a lot of ways, the American flag being held up as a symbol of liberty is great. I think that's a wonderful thing to do, and I think that we should do that. I also think, however, that it is, that burning the flag, something that I would never do, is a form of speech. We've seen that through numerous Supreme Court rulings. A lot of people say, so what, Supreme Court, throw it out. Okay, maybe the administration is seeking to bring it back to the court. And I think that would be an interesting case. But I'm also not in favor of any hate speech laws. No hate speech laws at all. That should not be something that exists. If you want to burn the pride flag, burn the pride flag. If you want to burn the American flag, that's up to you. I think it's a stupid thing to do, but it's really up to you whether or not you want to do it. If you want to scream at people and say nasty things to them, but not hurt them and not incite to violence, I don't think that's a nice thing to do. I don't think it's great, but it's up to you. Hate speech laws, I think, are anathema to the First Amendment, and we should not support them.
So that's really interesting. I had not thought about that, but I appreciate you bringing that up. That again, adjust my thinking yet again. Let's talk about the Shiloh Hendricks. I don't know that story. Tell me what went on there.
So this was earlier this year. A mom was at a playground in Minneapolis maybe. She was at a playground with her son who was 18 months old. And another kid came over and took a bag of apple juice or a pack of apple juice out of her baby bag. And Shiloh Hendricks, this mom, tried to get it back. And she screamed at the kid, and she screamed apparently not very nice things at the child, used the N-word. And another man was at the park videotaping the whole thing on his cell phone and caught that on camera. She then said the same thing to him, and the footage was uploaded to social media and went viral. After it went viral, a very interesting thing happened, which is that Shiloh Hendricks was not canceled. She did not lose her job. She did not lose her friends. And no one really came after her. Instead, what happened was a lot of people came to her support, which is very different than what we've seen over the past, 4 to 10 years with things of this nature. We saw a weatherman accidentally say a word that can be used as a racial slur accidentally as he was delivering the weather. His mouth just made a weird sound and he lost his job. But Shiloh Hendricks was supported across social media, and there was a big fundraiser launched for her, essentially as like an anti-cancellation measure. And a lot of people supported that. I don't know if all of them supported her saying the N-word at a child, which obviously, don't do that. But I think they supported her not being canceled for it. And now it turns out
the way Libby frames that. Obviously, don't do that. So, we both agree. Don't do. That's not okay. But I am in favor of anti-cancellation all over the place.
Yeah, so now though she may be charged. Sounds horrible. She may be charged with, causing a disturbance, even though, she wasn't the one who stole the applesauce, wasn't the one who filmed it, wasn't the one who uploaded it. But it also seems the child may be autistic. I'm not sure about those details, but So that's Shiloh Hendricks. Yeah. We'll see if she gets criminally charged. I cannot
defend her, but I can sign on to anti-cancellation. I like that. And then finally, let's talk about the Cracker Barrel, the old country store. What were they thinking? What were they trying to be? I mean, they're not going to be they're not going to be an Erewhon. I guess everyone knows what that is. It's something out here, a gourmet grocery store. And what was their plan? What was up there? I mean, it really, to me, the logo, I think that what the business leaders at Cracker Barrel don't seem to understand, that the logo alerted the people to something far different than just the logo change. Like something more was going on in that business. What are you seeing?
Yeah, so Cracker Barrel not only redesigned their logo and got rid of the old man in the barrel from the Cracker Barrel logo, but they also redesigned the interior of their restaurants. These restaurants, typically, if you're, on a road trip with your family and you're tired of eating roadside food, you pull off to a Cracker Barrel, you get some fried chicken and a biscuit, and it's really not so bad. And there's a lot of stuff on the walls, a lot of weird farm type country stuff, and it gives you something to look at, so you don't have to talk to your family after being trapped in the car with them for 10 hours. But there you are, and Cracker Barrel decided that they were going to give it a hipster millennial makeover, adding a whole bunch of minimalism, and everybody revolted, including the president came out and said, hey, maybe you want to go back to your original logo, buddy. You're kind of given away this thing that people have valued since the late 70s when it was formed.
But the logo was just the final step in this transformation. Yeah. And in the letter from the CEO, she said, I think it was the CEO, she said, we're still Americana. And I thought, isn't you exactly what you're doing is letting go of your Americana culture specifically? Isn't that what you're doing? Is not being Americana? Or do you not understand what that is?
Yeah, I think you're right. And they went so far, you mentioned Erewhon before, they went so far as to set up a pop-up Cracker Barrel in the meatpacking district in New York City. And for those of you who aren't familiar, this is where leggy supermodels go to, I don't know, eat Ozempic, I guess, or something like that. They have no use for Cracker Barrel there. They would look at it with sarcasm and irony and as though it's very stupid because they think so little of the rest of us out here in the rest of the country. And that's where they put it. That just seems so crazy to me because they were trying to rebrand for a set of people that are not interested. And I think that speaks to a bigger issue, which is the coastal elites, of which, I am recovering myself. The coastal elites look at the rest of the country like they just don't matter and like what they want doesn't matter and what they like is stupid and that we just all don't know better than to do as we're told. And so we need to have our lessons come from our betters on aesthetics and all the rest of it. And it turns out we don't. The biscuits and chicken and the little game with the pegs in it was all just fine. And the rocking chairs were all just fine. What's funny is that then Robbie Starbuck
one of the themes one of the themes for me today has become, how people recover, change their mind, literally change the mind. And you said you're recovering from your coastal elite. And I know you have to leave really quick, so I'm going to let you go in just a second. But how did that recovery happen for you?
Well, it happened. It's sort of a long story, like all of these are. But I realized that men aren't women. And then when I made this announcement to all of my friends downtown in New York City, they were like, you can't say that. You're going to get canceled. Everything's going to go bad for you. And as soon as I realized that not only were my betters and the politicians and the leaders of this country saying that, men are women, but they were saying a whole bunch of other stuff that was a big lie. And then COVID came around, which opened a lot of people's eyes. And when they told us all to stay home, and they told us that we can't go out and have dinner with our friends or visit our dying loved ones.
But you can go to the liquor store.
Yeah, you could go to the liquor store. And then they said, but it's okay, said Governor Andrew Cuomo. It's okay if you want to go out with 10,000 strangers and protest for Black trans lives in front of the Brooklyn Museum. That's okay. And we won't contact trace you, and we won't pay any attention to the fact that you are breaking all these lockdown orders. And I thought, you guys are all a bunch of big fat liars, and I don't trust anything that you say.
It's interesting. That is the sort of theme I'm hearing, which is that the overreach and the sort of line in the sand for most people is sort of a version of they were infringing on my bodily privileges, either with a chemical agent or my ability to move around, and then finally my speech. And those three things were just, they were all being infringed upon. And that is a bridge too far.
Yeah, they closed our churches. They literally closed down our churches, but kept the casinos open. Yeah. They closed our churches and our parks and our schools, and then said everybody could go, hang out in the middle of the street if they wanted, so long as they were doing it for the progressive religion of leftism and anti-racism and BLM and whatever other stupid labels they tacked on top of it. Absolutely out of control and insane. And then I moved out of New York City eventually.
It's what worries me about the emergency label that President Trump is attempting to use to bring the National Guard for crime control to other cities. It worries me so much what future administrations will use emergency to do God knows what. So I don't know. I think we have to be very careful with that.
I think that's always the issue, too, is one presidential administration needs to realize that the levers of power that they skew in their own favor will be used against that political party when they're out of office. Look at the Patriot Act. That was a terrible idea. And now we're just stuck with it.
That's the one. That's the one that caught me. That was the first thing that opened my eyes. Because when it was passed, I was like, it's an emergency. What? I don't have anything to hide. Why? If you have nothing to hide, why do you care? I didn't understand. Now I understand. So how I didn't believe our government could use these things the way they did. I literally didn't believe it, but lo and behold, they do. Okay, well, listen, I appreciate you spending a little time with me, and congratulations on your escape from New York. Where should people go to find your work?
You can find me on Twitter at Libby Emmons, and you can also see all the great work we're doing at thepostmillennial.com and humanevents.com. And if you wanted to check out my newsletter, I would love it. You could subscribe at thepostmillennial.com/Libby.
Libby, thank you so much. Hope to talk to you again soon.
Thanks so much.
You got it. All right, we're going to have yet another set of guests. This is Simona and George Papadopoulos, who are going to come to us from Sicily. And they got ensnared in so much of the intelligence information that is coming forth now through Tulsi Gabbard is the story of what George and it seems to me, is the story of what George and Simona were stuck in back 6 years ago. More than that now, right? Something like that. And I'm just so curious. I asked to have them brought back. They've been friends for a long time. And I wanted to hear how they see things now and what they think we're going to find. And, do they feel in any way vindicated or relieved? And there's a lot to get into here. So we're going to do that right after the break with Simona and George Papadopoulos. I'm excited to bring you a new product, a new supplement, Fatty. I take it. I make Susan take it. My whole family takes it. This comes out of, believe it or not, dolphin research. The Navy maintains a fleet of dolphins, and a brilliant veterinarian recognized that these dolphins sometimes developed a syndrome identical to our Alzheimer's disease. Those dolphins were deficient in a particular fatty acid. She replaced the fatty acid, and they didn't get the Alzheimer's. Humans have the same issue. And we are more deficient in this particular fatty acid than ever before. And a simple replacement of this fatty acid called C15 will help us prevent these syndromes. It's published in a recent journal called Metabolites. It's a new nutritional C15, pentadecanoic acid it's called. The deficiency that we are developing for C15 creates something called the cellular fragility syndrome. This is the first nutritional deficiency syndrome to be discovered in 75 years and may be affecting us in many ways, and as many as 1 in 3 of us. This is an important breakthrough. Take advantage of it. Go to fatty15.com/Dr. Drew to receive 15% off a 90-day starter kit subscription, or use code Dr. Drew at checkout for that 15% off, or just go to our website, drdrew.com/fatty15. Weight loss and gum loss, the Wellness Company's got you covered with new products. Drop. It's for aggressive appetite control. It comes in easy-to-use liquid drops. No prescription, no painful shot. It is an oral peptide called retatrutide. It actually mimics the way the body naturally loses weight, and it is designed to support faster, more focused weight loss when combined with healthy eating and exercise. And Smile is a breakthrough fluoride-free peptide toothpaste. It gently whitens and reverses gum loss, actually rebuilding tissue at its source with a proprietary blend of peptides, remineralizers, and soothing botanicals. Go to drdrew.com/TWC for more information on Drop and Smile, and check out another new and innovative solution for hair loss called Roots while you're there. That's drdrew.com/TWC for 10% off. What's so special about Paleo Valley's grass-fed and finished bone broth and superfood bars? Well, everything. All are delicious, high in nutrients, low in calories, and contain nothing artificial. Co-founder Autumn Smith on what goes into every superfood bar.
So we have bone broth protein powder, and then we've added other superfoods, cashew butter, we have spirulina in there, acerola, broccoli powder, kale, blueberries. And so it really is kind of just an infusion of superfoods with every bite.
And then there's the extraordinary bone broth protein made with an ancestral approach that boosts our collagen intake.
Collagen is something that's gone by the wayside in our modern diet because we don't eat nose to tail anymore, but it was something we ate a lot of, and it has so many benefits. So if you have sagging skin, joint pain, gut issues, your decreased bone mineral density, slow to heal your wounds, slow recovery, these are all things that collagen can dramatically improve. If we're not giving our body the building blocks to produce it, we just age more rapidly. It also improves sleep, improves blood sugar control. So it's essentially like the Swiss Army knife of healthy aging.
Like I said, Paleo Valley's bone broth is something special. Make Paleo Valley part of your longevity regimen. Go to drdrew.com/Paleo Valley for 20% off when you subscribe and 15% off your first order. That is drdrew.com/Paleo Valley.
That's brilliant. And thank you, Drew.
Where's Dr. Drew? Where is he? Dr. Drew. Dr. Drew.
Susan likes that clip.
That just cracked me up.
George can be followed at George Papa 19. And Simona, you would find more at agape-by-simona.myshopify.com. George's book, Deep State Target, How I Got Caught in the Crosshairs of the Plot to Bring Down President Trump. Please welcome George and Simona Papadopoulos. There it is.
Hi.
Guys,
Hi,
so good to see you. So I don't know if you heard my introduction, but I'm so anxious to see how you see things now. I mean, you were in the midst of all this stuff that the world is sort of learning what had ensnared you, and both of you were kind of ensnared differently. So you tell me what you're feeling and seeing, and whoever wants to start first, please. We're all ears.
I let the deep state target to talk first.
Well, Dr. Drew, it's really great to see you. It's been a couple of years, but so much has happened in terms of this story since we first sat down together. When I first wrote the book, when obviously President Trump was a first-term president, when there were more questions and answers, but finally we're starting to get a lot more answers and questions, which is a very significant development, including who actually ran the so-called Russiagate investigation. For years, we could only theorize. Was it Hillary Clinton? Was it Jim Comey? Was it John Brennan? Based on recent declassified information from DNI Gabbard, it looks like President Obama's fingerprints were actually all over the operation, including directing it, if you will. So I'm ecstatic. I've never been more proud to be a supporter of President Trump, because this took tremendous courage, gumption, and he put the right people in the right positions of power at the right time to do this. And I think it's really going to affect not only the United States, but of course, bilateral relations with other countries too.
Well, Dr. Drew,
go ahead, please.
thank you for having us on your show. I remember I was there a few years ago, and we were discussing the headlines that made me a Russian spy all over the United States and in the world, including my home country, Italy. Some people were calling me a Russian spy. So what changed ever since? I don't know if people are still persuaded I am actually a Russian asset. Some of them still are, but facts finally cleared my name. They know I was not a spy at all in any capacity. And finally, they understand the reason why I was framed this way. And the reason why is because I testified about the very key character of the entire Russia Gate investigation, whose name was Joseph Mifsud, who I happened to know in Brussels, back in Brussels, where I used to work at European Parliament. And I testified this connection not to the Russian government, but to Western intelligence. So I became an inconvenient voice, and immediately they targeted me, and they created this fictitious character, which became funny after a while.
It is funny. It is the comedic piece of this story, which is at its core is how doltish Americans are, that they can't distinguish an Italian accent from a Russian accent, and you literally fit their sort of casting ideas of what a Russian spy should be. So once they said it, it just stuck, and that's how culturally pathetic we are over here from my point of view. But I wish you would, I'm going to switch back to George and the controversies, but you triggered something in my mind about the EU. Help people understand what the EU is. I don't think people, in addition to not understanding the difference between Italian and a Russian accent, we don't understand here what the EU is. You worked for a socialist. These are non-elected officials. These are people who make their money essentially from the lobbying agents that are around them, of which I think there's something like 300 for every one EU individual. They vote as unelected officials as thus saith the Lord upon the land of Europe. What the hell is your perspective on all that?
Well, I am a big advocate of exiting this crazy construction that just takes away sovereignty of different member states. It doesn't add anything. And it's just like a money machine for people who basically have no power, have no authority, and they're elected basically for doing nothing but taking away your rights as member states. I simplified it the most, but I think I gave the idea of what this construction is.
Well, I told you we were in Sicily a couple of months ago, and one of the things we went over to Croatia, and I could see the trouble that the EU was causing there and the transition from communism and stuff. But the really striking thing for me was we then went over the border to Montenegro, which is a non-EU country, and it was like going to Oz or something. It's like, oh, this is what you can be if you're not in the EU? Why isn't everybody like these guys?
Exactly. It's just like striking. People need to take a passport and come over here to understand, first and foremost, the difference between an Italian accent and a Russian one, please. And then to understand how this European Union actually is something not to emulate. It's the counterexample of what some socialists in the United States and Democrats try to import in the United States, but it's actually what you should absolutely avoid at any cost.
Did you, do you know who Beatrice Rosen is, an actress? We've been talking to some French folks over there that are either advocating for Frexit or a Sixième République, Sixth Republic. Are you familiar with those folks over there?
Of course, I actually embraced the Italian party that wants to exit Italy from the European Union. I was very vocal about the reason why the cost of being in the European Union is much higher than the cost to exit the European Union. And I think more and more people are aware of it, mostly with the recent developments in the Russia-Ukraine war. And the sanctions to Russian funding to this war that have only collapsed European Union economies, more than Russia economy. That's a real crazy thing that people really doesn't understand.
No, I see it. I see it. By the way, the French prime minister, I think he was on television this morning or yesterday morning saying, we are in trouble. Like, no kidding. You've been in budgetary trouble for years. And now it's like, we have a crisis. We're not going to exist in a few months. Yeah, right. fix it. And it's the EU that's giving you the biggest problem. But we're so disconnected from all that over here. George, I want to talk to you about this, the DNI director, Tulsi Gabbard, and what she's uncovering. What is I want you to put on your crystal brain and tell me what you think, how you imagine this is going to play out. And is the American public going to be able to come to terms with it? Because a lot of the country just keeps saying, there's nothing here, there's nothing here, there's nothing here. See, it's been proven there's nothing here. What do you see is going to be exposed, and how do you imagine this will be played out?
Yeah, Dr. Drew, I think let's just look at what's recently happened with this whole John Bolton raid, that many on the left have somehow become supporters of their once arch nemesis, who was a national security advisor.
Weird.
President Trump, and one of the architects of the failed Iraq and Afghanistan wars. And I actually was working in similar circles as Bolton when I first started my career in DC. He was at the American Enterprise Institute, which was a think tank. I worked at the Hudson Institute, a very neoconservative guy. So during the raid that just occurred, the DOJ actually had 2 magistrates sign off on the search warrants, one including in Washington, D.C., the other in Maryland, not historically bastions of right-wing voters or conservatism, but the DOJ got 2 judges to sign off on raiding his house to showcase what kind of probable cause there was. The reason I use this example is because you asked, what do I expect moving forward? I think that the Trump DOJ has airtight cases now involving people like Jim Comey and John Brennan, who just about a month ago were put under criminal investigation simultaneously for what seems to be tantamount to a conspiracy to defraud Americans of their civil liberties, potentially illegal surveillance, et cetera. So I think they're going to use the same playbook they used with Bolton, meaning they're going to have airtight evidence, declassified evidence that no one had ever seen before, present that to various magistrates, grand juries, and likely indict people like Jim Comey and Brennan. I really think that's what is going to happen moving forward. And the only reason it didn't happen during the first Trump administration is because this information was still classified. There were various investigations that attempted to cover it up. Trump had people in the first term who were not really there to help him, if you will, people like Bolton. I would argue people like A.G. Barr, others like Mike Pompeo. The people he has in the positions of power right now have been elected or selected to do this job. It's a very difficult task, but I think the people are up for it. And I think that's what's going to happen moving forward.
Yeah, and having Tulsi Gabbard deliver it seems like a pretty digestible. She makes everything seem okay. She's very sweet, and that's not right. She's very non-threatening in how she presents things, and it's easier to hear things from her, and you want to believe her too, because she's always been so sincere. But you mentioned Comey being indicted, but George, he likes Taylor Swift. He's a Swiftie. I don't know if you saw that video over there, but he did a video where he went on about how he loves Taylor Swift and how she's such a great, patriot and all this stuff. Did you see that video?
I did. And I also saw the clip with RFK Jr., who's a former Democrat. Now, you mentioned Tulsi Gabbard. She's a former Democrat. So I think this is one of the masterful strokes of genius from President Trump to actually bring in these type of characters into his administration, people who no longer recognize the Democrat Party. They say to themselves, we're still technically Democrats, but the Democrat Party has basically evaded us. We did not leave the Democrat Party. It just became so lunatic, such a freak show that we no longer are part of that circus act. And regarding Comey, look, I think that he's in a state of paranoia right now. And I can just speak from experience of how these cases really work. They tried to use me and others as building blocks to go after, ultimately, President Trump. It failed because there was absolutely no evidence to support their insane allegations against myself and people like Simone over here, and obviously the president. And I think Jim Comey, who now is under criminal investigation, and they are building a case against him, he's probably thinking, who is testifying against me, who has been given immunity, who has spoken to the grand jury, what further files is Gabbard going to declassify, and speak in such an eloquent fashion to the American public in this non-threatening manner that you just explained, and really hit them over the head the way she has been. I think that's what this whole Taylor Swift monologue or whatever, this attempt to deflect and to show that he's human or to humanize himself in a bizarre fashion is really about. But you're the expert, so you probably should theorize better than I can.
These are pretty crafty types, these guys. I've learned more about Comey in recent months, and someone who was in the administration, Katie, I'm on Katie's last name, was talking about some of her interactions with Comey. I thought, oh, that's who this guy is. And it occurs to me that this could also go bad. So as you look at it, how could this go off the rail, do you think?
It could go off the rail in the sense that people might not be ready for the truth, and it might galvanize some sort of riots, especially if it ultimately reaches President Obama. And let's just be very clear here. The Democrats actually set the precedent for raiding, indicting, arresting, and convicting a former president. So whether President Obama has presidential immunity, that's up for debate. Some say the Supreme Court's recent ruling abdicates him of any responsibility of any so-called presidential maneuverings that he might have been ruling of any some sort of paid instigators, paid rioters that do come out of the woodwork should this really reach the upper echelons of the Democrat Party, which it looks like it might actually reach that point, Dr. Drew.
We are in our house having a little weird internet problem, so I'm going to kind of wrap up with you guys before things get really glitchy on our end. It's our internet account. So I think what's streaming is perfect. So everyone's seeing you and everyone's getting the messages. Good. But I think since we last met, I discovered we had a mutual friend in Tom Arnold.
Yes, we had actually, we filmed this reality show that is still in post-production, and Tom Arnold is starring in it. So we should have a gathering, a comeback all together at some point. I think Tom
is a dear friend. He's a dear friend. I've not seen him enough lately. So please, if you come back, let's all get together with him. And he loves you guys too. He just feels. I would not have put the three of you together, but I'm glad everyone is together.
You know something about us? Our politics doesn't define our friendships. We have all different kinds of businesses, and we live in the door, Los Angeles. So we're still hardcore conservatives. I think it's obvious.
I guess to survive in Los Angeles for over 7 years, you have to mix and match a little bit, you know.
It's the way life always was. I mean, I don't understand why we can't get back to that. How is life in Italy now? Italians know how to live. Are you living a good life there?
Yes, it always months dedicated to dolce vita, where everyone is actually enjoying a nice street sunset beach, and dolce far niente, which is the sweet of doing nothing. That's the concept of vacation for Italians. And it's always beautiful.
Well, you have a clothing line. Tell us about that. She heard me. It's us. Yep. You can see he's still. There we go.
It might be.
It was us. We're having a weird internet problem. That's why I was trying to wrap things up. Did you get a chance to talk about her clothing?
No. It looks like it just got cut off here.
Oh. Well, why don't you put her clothing up there? Put the website up again.
Wait, but we're still live.
We're fine.
I think it was them.
They froze. Well, we froze too. I wonder if we kicked them off or something.
I don't think it's us.
Okay, but Caleb, there we go. There's the website.
So now I'm really pissed because I had an agreement with my wife. If I could get a sample of this specific outfit, then my wife said she would model it and do photos and send it over to Simone to post on her site. So I haven't had a chance to ask for my
Never
sample
put it
yet.
on. Your wife knows how to do TikTok.
Oh,
Have her
yeah.
do this on TikTok.
They'll come back.
So she said she'd
Back.
do it.
You're not logging back in?
There it is. What is their website? Can you put it up for us so other people can?
It's a long one,
get
so
to it?
it's going to be up on the website. If they just go to the site, they can find the link
Okay,
there.
I'm going to say, because I think I said it at the intro, if you don't mind. It was agape, which is a word for love, -by-simona.myshopify.com.
She needs a better link.
Is that the one that you were talking about, Caleb?
Yeah, that's the link. I'm sure there's a shorter URL for it, and it's just redirecting in the wrong
Look
way.
up
But if they just
Simona
go to the website.
Maggiante swimwear. That's it.
Yeah,
You'll
probably
find
come right
it.
up.
Just Google it. But where'd they go? They just dropped off?
Well, Susan, maybe you can text her to just tell her it's fine. We were heading
You
towards
want
the
to say
exit.
goodbye. Oh,
I
well.
just tell her to, I don't know, send a commercial or something.
I don't think it was on our end because we're still streaming.
Okay. Did you notice that we froze over here, Caleb, a little bit?
Yeah, I
first?
noticed. It seems like there might be some bigger tech issues going on globally because YouTube was having issues yesterday and Rumble was acting strange.
Oh, interesting. We had in the afternoon, it was Zoom, some weird Zoom stuff. We were talking to somebody and it kept glitching. But it's all right.
Well, that sucks.
It sucks for them because I wanted her to promote her clothing line, but here we are talking about it for 5 minutes. Number one. And number two, the CIA got us, Casey. But I heard everything I wanted to hear from them in terms of what my thoughts were and what I was curious about from their standpoint. I just think it's so comical that because Simona looks and sounds the way she does, she must be a Russian spy. It's so ridiculous.
I don't know if I have her phone number.
Are they somebody coming back in, Caleb?
I'm here. Oh, we are back.
Okay, good.
Oh,
I wanted to give you a chance to
thank you
you're
so
here
much.
for the purpose. You're here for first of all, Caleb, you make your pitch when I finish what I'm about to say, and then you're here to promote your clothing line. So go ahead, listen from Caleb first, though.
Yes, my wife, she agreed. She said that if we can get a sample of a specific outfit from you, she told me that she would model it and she would do photos. She's a social media influencer. And the specific one that I requested is this one. For no specific reason, but America, and I just love America, I guess. But
direct message me your address and the name of your beautiful wife, and I will ship it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't know if you have a presence on TikTok, but Caleb's wife knows how to create traction on TikTok. But tell us about the clothing line.
So I started this venture in Los Angeles during COVID, actually. I was under the pressure of the headlines painting me as a Russian spy. So I said, okay, my first idea was to call it spyware. Then I said, okay, let's make it real. And I call it Agape by Simona, inspired by my love, Greek origins of George Agape. And so I make it more realistic. But I share with you the temptation to call it 007 spyware. I don't know, but still has that vibe. So whoever wants to look like a Bond girl, just have a look at my website.
That's
and you
awesome.
can find it on Instagram.
Yeah, and it's agape by Simona. You have to put the dash in there to get it?
Yes, you can just Google agapebysimona.com and you will find it.
Okay, perfect. Well, listen, you guys, I appreciate it. It's great to see you. I look forward to seeing you with Tom one of these days soon, and enjoy the Dolce Vita in Sicily.
We'll be back very soon. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to see you all.
Thanks so much again.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you, guys. And you made Caleb very, very happy as well.
Yes. Very happy.
And so mission accomplished, Caleb. So let's put up the guest coming up here.
I tried that URL, but I couldn't find it. It's
Agape, A-G-A-P-E, Agape by Simona. Chef Rule coming in tomorrow. Art Kleinschmidt is the head of the SAMHSA. Anthony Brown is the nurse who was a down-and-out drug dealer who is now setting up sober living in Ohio. He's got an update for us. Kira Diss, and then Roseanne. Hopefully she'll hang out, make that particular schedule. We've had to move her a couple of times. Allison Morrow, Salty Cracker, Zach Levi, Batya Ungar Sargon, who has a new show on Newsmax, and Gabe, can't pronounce the last name. Sorry, Tabe. Emily
we
Barsh.
might have jury duty on Tuesday, but if we don't, there's always a possibility we'll be back, but we don't have any guests.
That'd be the
unless we can move Roseanne to Tuesday.
What day are you talking about, the 5th?
On the 5th, yeah. Okay. We have, both of us have jury duty.
I know, it's wild.
Yeah.
I'm delighted with my guest today. Emily Barsh has been killing it, and she continues to do so. Caleb, anything for you before I wrap up?
No, I'm just still recovering because I'm very excited to receive my sample in the mail for my wife.
Okay, you heard what to do. And Barsh has the connections if you need any further contact with them. Let me look quickly at you all on the restream and see if there's anything that needs urgent addressing. You guys are fighting with each other a little bit, which is always fun. Give me a second here, guys. There's some thank yous. I appreciate that. Yes, Eric points out that agape was a type of love. Yes, I understand. But she mentioned that because George is Greek and speaks Greek, that agape is Greek for love.
So we're having a jury duty date, which is true.
I know. It's going to
I
make
want
it
you to
doable.
experience what I experience when I go there.
Ugh.
I never get picked.
Jay Wink likes Batya. She was on Bill Maher last week, and she did a great job, I
if
thought.
we get called in.
And she's really interesting. I saw her also on Leyland, can't pronounce his last name. Leyland's
she has her own show coming
on Newsmax. She did a great job.
Just announced. She has a show coming, Batya, on Newsmax.
Yep, on weekend. I was just going to email her and congratulate her for that. But we'll see her to promote it. And we'll see you all tomorrow at 2:00.
Caleb, text me your address.
Ask Dr. Drew is produced by Caleb Nation and Susan Pinsky. As a reminder, the discussions here are not a substitute for medical care, diagnosis, or treatment. This show is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I am a licensed physician, but I am not a replacement for your personal doctor, and I am not practicing medicine here. Always remember that our understanding of medicine and science is constantly evolving. Though my opinion is based on the information that is available to me today, some of the contents of this show could be outdated in the future. Be sure to check with trusted resources in case any of the information has been updated since this was published. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, don't call me, call 911. If you're feeling hopeless or suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. You can find more of my recommended organizations and helpful resources at drdrew.com/help.